Jai Hind friends. Friends, I am Bhoi and I am going to teach you about refrigeration and air conditioning. Students, in our daily life we use refrigeration, and you also might seen in everywhere, like in your house, in every vehicles, in every institution. We see a refrigeration system like refrigerator, air conditioner. So friends, my dear students, this is also one type of refrigeration system. So what is a refrigeration? Students, you can see from here, refrigeration, it is the process of producing lower temperature of a given system compared to surrounding. My dear students, when we take an example of a refrigerator, what is the function of a refrigerator? Its basic function is to maintain a lower temperature of a given system. It means inside the refrigerator. And if we will see in case of air conditioner, it means AC. In AC, my dear students, the basic function of an AC is to maintain lower temperature of a room as compared to surrounding. So refrigeration states that is the process of producing lower temperature, where we will take a system. We have to maintain that temperature below the surrounding. It's okay, my dear students? So, as I tell you, refrigeration is of two types. One is simple vapor compression refrigeration system, and another is simple vapor absorption refrigeration system. Basically, my dear students, in refrigerator, in our fridge, we use the system. It's called simple vapor compression refrigeration system. My dear students, a simple vapor compression refrigeration system is a closed system that circulates a refrigerant through 4 stages to transfer heat from cooler to warmer. My dear students, in simple vapor compression refrigeration system, we use 4 components. What are these? These are evaporator, compressor, condenser, and expansion valve. Again, I am telling you, one is evaporator, compressor, condenser, and expansion valve. Is it clear, students? As you can see from this board, this is the beautiful example of compressor. My dear students, in our daily life, we see compressor. We see the use of compressor. We use compressor in our daily life, like when in our automobile sector, in a garage, we use compressor to feed air to the tire. My dear students, the basic function of compressor, to increase the pressure and to increase the temperature. Again, this is the one component to whom we use our simple vapor compression refrigeration system. Friends, this is called condenser. As you can see in the condenser, there are multiple number of small tubes in which a refrigerant flow. Again, I will tell you how condenser works, and this is the image of expansion valve. My dear friends, the basic function of this expansion valve to reduce the pressure. Friends, this is the example of evaporator. Basically, when we open our refrigerator and put an apple inside the refrigerator, as you can see in the top level of the refrigerator, there is an empty area where we put our apple, so many vegetables. This is called evaporator. Friends, now we will study how a simple vapor compression refrigeration system works. How? My dear students, as I tell you, inside the simple vapor compression refrigeration system, a refrigerant flow through these components: compressor, condenser, expansion valve, and evaporator. So let's take an example. Friends, I put an apple inside the evaporator. Before that, the temperature of an apple was equal to surrounding temperature. When I put an apple to the evaporator, inside the evaporator there are refrigerant flows, and their temperature is below to the surrounding temperature. In this case, what will happen, friends? The heat which were present inside the apple will flow to the refrigerant. Okay? So the refrigerant will do what? The refrigerant will take that amount of heat to the compressor. Okay? In this process, now listen, when refrigerant comes to the compressor, it will in the form of vapor, because as we know, compressor compress only vapor and air, and pump compress the liquid, the water. When vapor comes to the compressor, the temperature and the pressure will increase. Okay? And that amount of temperature, pressure which are present in the refrigerant will flow to the condenser. And listen, this condenser is attached to the surrounding. In this process, when refrigerant will flow to the compressor, from the compressor, their temperature is much high. Then when refrigerant will come to the condenser, surrounding temperature and refrigerant which are present inside the condenser, there will be a temperature difference. The refrigerant which are present in the condenser is high than the surrounding. So, as we know, heat flow from higher temperature to lower temperature. Surrounding temperature is low. Condenser temperature is at high. So heat will flow from condenser to surrounding. So in this process, heat will extract, heat will reject to the surrounding. Then, friends, refrigerant will flow from the condenser to the expansion valve. In this process, the pressure is high and the temperature will decrease because of rejection of heat to the surrounding. Basically, before I have already said you that the basic function of expansion valve to decrease the pressure. So in this expansion valve, when refrigerant flow from expansion valve inlet to the expansion valve outlet, their pressure will decrease. It means low pressure will enter to the evaporator. In this process, this is not a single process, this is a multi-process. Refrigerant will flow in these four components continuously, simultaneously, so that our simple vapor compression refrigeration system will successfully take place. My dear students, now we will study, as I tell you, a refrigerant flow inside the simple vapor compression refrigeration system. So what do you mean by a refrigerant? My dear students, a refrigerant is a chemical substance that absorbs heat and transfer it to another substance to cool air and object. What? A refrigerant. A refrigerant is a chemical substance, my dear students. A refrigerant is a chemical substance that absorbs heat. As I tell you, when I put an apple inside the evaporator, the heat extracts from apple to the evaporator. How? Because of refrigerant. Refrigerant extract heat from apple to inside. My dear students, now we will discuss about types of refrigerant. There are mainly two types of refrigerant. One is primary refrigerant and another is secondary refrigerant. Primary refrigerant, the refrigerant which directly take part in refrigeration system. The refrigerant which directly takes part in the refrigeration system is called as primary refrigerant. Examples are NH3, CO2, SO2 and methyl. My dear students, another refrigerant is secondary refrigerant. The refrigerant which are cooled by primary refrigerant then take part in extracting heat. This is called a secondary refrigerant. These refrigerant are not take part directly in the simple vapor compression refrigeration system. What is the examples of secondary refrigerant? The secondary refrigerant examples are water and brine solutions. So, my dear students, what we learned today? We learned about simple vapor compression refrigeration system. What are the components of simple vapor compression refrigeration system? How it works? So, my dear students, this is all about simple vapor compression system. We will see you later. Jai Hind, Bharat Mata ki Jai.